Trump historically has been against sending weapons and materials to foreign nations. He was heavily against sending weapons to Ukraine, and that was one of his main campaign promises: stop funding foreign nations. Now, I don't entirely agree with this situation, but I think Trump's actually not entirely. He doesn't entirely follow the philosophy of never sending weapons to foreign nations. As here's an example of it today, where Trump admin announces $11 billion in arms sales deal to Taiwan. Now this is $11 billion does seem small compared to like the $200 billion we sent to Ukraine, but they're not in active war yet. So this is a massive peacetime sale of weapons to Taiwan. Now, why do I think this is a massive win, and something that's incredibly good for the U.S.? It's simply because Taiwan is a very, very strategically important nation in combating China. And they're also extremely important to U.S.'s economy and the overall economy of the world as a whole. So that's the main reasons why. Now, why do I think those two things are true? So first, for why I think there's incredibly strategically important in terms of fighting China. And it's because of the island chain that goes along with Taiwan. And so our containment strategy for China has been the island chain. And it's basically a string of islands and nations that go from South Korea to Japan to Taiwan to the Philippines and to the South China Sea area that contain China. And if you have all those nations in a row that are under U.S. control and support the U.S., then we could practically blockade and cut off China from the sea. And that's why Taiwan is so incredibly important to the U.S. It's a way to basically cut off China. And it's the key link in that too. It's right in the middle of that chain. So it's incredibly important for us to protect that nation, simply for containing them whenever it's important. Additionally, they are strategically important as a way to basically threaten China in the first place, because they have a long rivalry. China and Taiwan do. It goes all the way back to the civil war in China between Chiang Kai-shek and the nationalist versus the communist within China. And, since we have a communist China right now, they've won. But what happened is that the nationalist government ended up fleeing to Taiwan. And ended up, as China was still incredibly weak at the time, they couldn't muster up enough ships and men to actually invade Taiwan. So Taiwan was basically able to stay there as basically it was able to escape China, the Communist Party's rule. And so it just kept there and stayed like that until today, where it's continued to stay that alive. And the only reason that they're really alive right now is because China would have invaded them unless the U.S. actually supported them. And that's what we've been doing. And we've ended up containing China in a lot of ways with that. And next reason I think this is actually a good move is the economic importance of Taiwan. And actually, it's also military importance of it too, but it's in an economic way. So Taiwan is a massive producer of chips, particularly the most advanced chips. You got Taiwan's Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. That company produces the most important chips in computing and technology today. And they produce for Apple, they produce for Microsoft, they produce Samsung, they produce any chip that you get most of the time. Most of the time they are produced by Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. And that is incredibly strategically important, especially considering chips and computing technology is what the next war will be fought on, besides nukes, of course, But computing technology is what the next war will be fought with. You have AI and the computing technology and the chips there. You get, besides AI, you also get a lot of our major military technology uses a lot of ships. The B-2 bomber, the F-15s, F-22s, F-35s, even the new 6th gen are going to have advanced computing technology with inside. And then you have also drones now, which are going to be even more important in the future. In terms of military technology, in terms of military strategy, as you've seen in Ukraine, where they used drones to attack into Russia, and they were actively very successful in blowing up some oil refineries and attacking major strategic targets. So and then eventually drones are going to be incredibly important in the future. So any war in the future is going to need those chips and the computing power that goes along with it. So that's why they're incredibly important. It's also incredibly important to the consumer economy too, as you got this the computer I'm working on right now and producing this video, the camera, the microphone, the phone that I have, any sort of computing technology, even our light system, thermostats, HVAC systems, everything runs on chips nowadays. Anything that's smart, so Alexas, cars, use chips. They might not use advanced chips, but they still use chips. And if you lose Taiwan and you have their computing capability and their chip manufacturing crushed, then that will result in a massive economic downturn, as pretty much all of our growth nowadays relies on those chips and the computing power that comes with it. So so they are massively important economically to the U.S. too. In fact, I believe they produce, according to this NPR article, is from this base that TMC made itself indispensable to modern life. Its chips are in everything from cell phones to cars, and by some it estimates it produces over 90% of the world's most advanced chips. So now, if that 90% is cut out, everything goes down. Everything. You won't get new phones. You won't get new cars. We won't be able to produce this. This is actually why Trump and also Biden wanted to increase chip manufacturing in the U.S. Biden did this through incentivizing works in the Inflation Reduction Act and other things, where Trump actually did it through tariffs, as if you put tariffs on these chips, it's more likely that they'll want to produce stuff in here, and also with asking foreign companies like TSMC to produce stuff in here in America. And it's worked to some degree, but we're still incredibly heavily reliant on TSMC, as actually most of their manufacturing of incredibly advanced chips actually still goes on in Taiwan. Even though we get some manufacturing here, it's still some of the lower grade chips that are not as important. And that's actually a smart move on Taiwan's part for that, simply because the U.S. might abandon them if they don't have it otherwise. So it's a smart move by Taiwan. But it's simply, and it's actually forced us in a way to do this, simply because we need those chips, and we don't want them to go into China. So having this defense, sending all these military equipment over there, will end up deterring China and protecting them in the long run. Additionally, this isn't just a giving away of billions of dollars of equipment. We're actually selling them, because Taiwan actually has a really strong economy in comparison to like Ukraine, where we actually had to send them there for free because they didn't have a strong economy at the time. So this is actually a sale. So it's not like we're just giving them military equipment for free. We're actually getting something out of it. Also, I bet this ended up going into Trump's negotiations too, on tariffs and getting more chip manufacturing here to the U.S. So I think this is actually another good move by Trump, because he probably has multifaceted plans with this. Probably protecting Taiwan, and also getting U.S. money from and getting money from Taiwan too. Then also convincing them to send some manufacturing over here to the U.S. So I think this is a good move by Trump. It's going to help U.S. and Taiwan relations. It's going to help in the future, possibly manufacturing too. Another thing here is that since we're protecting Taiwan and we are giving them more military stuff, it's more likely that they'll give us more favorable rates in terms of chip manufacturing and them selling chips to U.S. companies. So they might end up not they might give American companies a discount in comparison to European countries, and that will also be more strategic for U.S. economy. I don't know if that's going to go on in this deal, but if they have this deal and we have the stronger relations with Taiwan, then it's more likely that that might happen in the future. So overall, I think this is a great national security move by Donald Trump, and it's an overall great move. My only concern about this is that it will enrage China. But the thing is, Trump has been doing that for years now. You see it with the trade war that we caught tariffs up to like 100% at some point. Of course, that calmed down to whatever. But he's also antagonizing China here, so that's a little bit worrying. And that might result in higher prices, maybe. They might mark up their prices, might result in another trade war. That's a worry I have with this. But still, even then, a fight between U.S. and China over tariffs and stuff like that might actually be good for the U.S. in the long run, as China's already going through economic difficulties. With a couple years ago, they had the Evergrande crisis, where housing prices, where housing companies absolutely failed, and prices crashed. So they had that crisis, and they're still dealing with the after effects. That's why I haven't seen a lot of growth from China in the last 2 years. And they're also going over other economic problems right now. So actually restarting a trade war might end up inadvertently helping the U.S. And that's also along with the fact that right now we are having a lower period of inflation than what we previously had. And in fact, inflation is decreasing. I believe the inflation report was actually pretty good for November. So we can end up experiencing a little bit of so having a fight with China wouldn't be extremely bad right now for inflation. Additionally, since I also mentioned in my last video, or a couple videos ago, yesterday, that we had gas prices up down to 50 a barrel. So that's actually going to also result in less inflation across the nation too. So getting into a fight with China might actually be a good thing. And it might hurt them in the long run. But overall, I think this is a good move, considering that it's not one-sided. We're not just giving anything. We're helping with security. We're fighting off China. We're helping Taiwan be self-sufficient. They're also selling. We're also selling it, so we're getting monetary results. And also, I think a lot of this is going to be old military technology. So if you scroll down, sorry, issues there. So. Oh, no, this is the wrong article. Okay. So if you look at here for the what they're selling, it says 8 arms agreements cover 82 high mobility artillery rocket systems, or HMARs. So that is newer technology. It's not incredibly new. 420 Army tactical missile systems. And then, similar to what the U.S. has been providing to Ukraine during the Biden administration to defend itself from Russia, worth around $4 billion. Worth about $4 billion. They also include 60 self-propelled howitzer systems and related equipment worth around another $4 billion. Drones around $1 billion. Other sales include military software. Again, software is kind of easy to sell, honestly. It's not like we're giving them a lot of stuff for the software. It's cheap. It's easy to produce. So, and I bet it's also outdated military software, so it's not going to be the new ones. Javelin missiles, $69 million in helicopters, kit harpoons, and refurbishment of kits for our harpoon missiles for around $91 million. So again, most of them are like older systems that are not like brand new. Also, did I see any F-15s? I thought there was some F-15s there. No, it doesn't seem so. So I was wrong on that one. But yeah, that's some of the older military technology, and it's not like it's going to be our cutting-edge military technology, too. So, additionally, Taiwan, we don't have as much security risk. A while back, I criticized Trump for sending sending F-35s to Saudi Arabia. And the reason I criticized that was security and how they're one of our more powerful jets. But actually, here we might not have that issue. First of all, Taiwan is incredibly reliant on the U.S. in terms of protection, as they need the U.S. in terms of not getting attacked by China. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of risk for sending over stuff over there. Additionally, again, I mentioned it was a lot of the older stuff, and we've got better technology than this a lot of the time. So it's not going to be newer stuff, and again, we're getting money back for this. So I think this is a awesome move by Trump. It's protecting our economic interest with Taiwan. It's stopping Russia and China from expanding. It's increasing relations between the two nations. Also, maybe, and there might be some economic benefits there that are not specified in the deal, but might be backdoor. So I think this is overall a good thing for Trump, and a good move on Trump for sending technology to Taiwan and sending military aid to them. It's not really aid; it's more of a sale. But I think this is an overall good move. So good move on Trump, even though I've previously considered disliked some of his military actions. But this, great move. Awesome move. I want more like this. Of course, it has to be measured and stuff like this. Measured, don't make sure it's even trades, but more actual good military policy from Trump. And foreign relations policy, I want more good policy on that. So I think this is a major good move, and hopefully Trump continues to do stuff that's beneficial for us and for the U.S. nation as a whole. And anyway, thank everyone for watching, and I'll see you later.